and they're going to present on the ARPA.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being with us this evening. Members of the public, welcome. I am calling to order this City of Hartford Operations Management and Budget and Government Accountability Committee meeting Monday, August 15th, 2022 to order. This evening, we have Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon, who's a voting member, Councilman James Sanchez, who is not a voting member, and Councilman Nick LeBron, who is a voting member. We also have Corporation Counsel, Mr. Howard Rifkin, and Attorney Alexandra Lombardi. We are still waiting for Leanne Rels. I believe she's logging on. For those of you who are viewing us this evening, you could view this meeting through the Hartford Public Access TV, Comcast channel 96, and Frontier channel 6032, and also on our Hartford Public Access Facebook page. On this evening's agenda, there are 2 items on the agenda. And the first item is Council President Rosado, an ordinance amending Article 7 of the Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code, which is the COLA. And I will entertain a motion. And Councilman Sanchez, I know that you were going to do the motion to postpone, but you're not a voting member, so I'm going to.
Yes, I just realized that.
Councilwoman Surgeon.
Sure. I place the motion on the floor to postpone the COLA ordinance amending 10, 15, 16, 17, Article 17 of Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code.
I second the motion.
Motion has been made and properly second to postpone this item 2.2 to our next OMBGA meeting. Those in favor of this postponement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is item 2.2, Mayor Broner with a company resolution authorizing the transfer of funds between departments, offices, and our agencies as necessary to implement the American Rescue Plan, also known as ARPA. And in the resolution, it says that whereas on May 19th, 2021, the Court of Common Council unanimously adopted a resolution authorizing a multi-year spending plan under the American Rescue Plan of 2021, also known as ARPA. And whereas said spending plan approved allocations among several categories consists with ARPA, including youth services and support, community safety and wellness, business support and activation, housing-focused nonprofits, arts and culture, economic and community development, and revenue replacement. And whereas expenditure of ARPA funds for revenue replacement or governmental expenditures offset, consistent with the approval of the spending plan, necessitates the appropriations be transferred between departments, offices, and/or agencies, and now therefore be it resolved that the Court of Common Council pursuant to Chapter X, Section 7A of the Charter does hereby authorize the mayor to transfer funds as necessary between departments, offices, and/or agencies to expand ARPA funds consistent with the council approved allocation plan, and be it further resolved that the mayor is authorized to execute any and all matters of other documents and to take such other actions as he and the corporation council may deem appropriate and in the best interest of the city to effectuate the transfers referenced herein. And be it further resolved that no person or entity shall be entitled to rely on or otherwise claim any benefits by reason of this resolution. And this evening, we have currently on our screen, Corporation Counsel Howard Rifkin and Attorney Lombardi. Mr. Rifkin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. I believe Leanne Rawls is supposed to be joining us. I just texted her and phoned her and can't seem to raise her on the phone or through text, but Alexandra Lombardi and I will speak with you today about this proposed resolution. And let me first turn it over to Deputy Corporation Counsel Alexandra Lombardi to discuss the resolution, and then we can answer any questions.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for having me here tonight. So just by way of reminder, you all had a presentation by Mayor Luke Bronin earlier this year where he went over the ARPA expenditure plan that's been approved by council. There are various categories of expenditure. One of those is revenue replacement, and those are items that ARPA dollars will be spent on typical government expenditures. And then there's a category typically referred to as a swap category, where the ARPA dollars are being used for revenue replacement, that purpose that I just outlined. And then the surplus dollars that result from the spending of ARPA dollars on a normal government expenditure are then used for the allocation plan purpose that council has already approved. And so what you heard me mention when kind of redescribing those categories to you is a necessity to move ARPA dollars to a department so that we can pay for that government expenditure in both categories. And then in that second category, money is then transferred out of the department, what is now surplus dollars, to whatever the purpose is under the allocation plan. And as you all know, under the charter, City Council does need to approve appropriations transfers from one department to another. And that's the reason for this resolution that's before you, is just to give Leanne Shop and Finance the necessary approvals to move the ARPA dollars to a department for a government expenditure, and then in some cases out again to its ultimate destination as approved by the allocation plan that you all are very familiar with. So this resolution would give all those necessary approvals to the finance department so that they can get those ARPA dollars in the hands of the department, or other group consistent with the plan, without the necessity to go before you all every single time we want to make such a move, because that would quite obviously create a lot of delay in getting ARPA dollars into the hands that we ultimately want them to be in. So with that, I think that provides the overview, and looks like Howard wants to chime in on something I probably forgot.
No, you didn't forget anything. Thank you, Council President, members of the committee. I want to emphasize two things. One is this in no way affects the allocation plan that has been previously approved by the Court of Common Council. So the purposes and the projects for which you in last year approved ARPA expenditures remain. the same. What this really does is give us the, as Alexandra said, the tools necessary, the accounting tools necessary to move money around so that in fact, we can use the ARPA allocation on the projects for which you allocated dollars. So there's nothing in this that is particularly substantive, nor does it change any of the priorities that the mayor and the council together established for how we're using our ARPA allocation.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel. Councilwoman Surgeon?
Through you, Chair, I do apologize to the committee members and the residents. I was trying to go back and find that presentation that the mayor presented so I could refresh my memory before voting on this, because I do understand the concept of because using the ARPA funds, sometimes it doesn't cover all the things we want to do. So we're kind of switching out, putting some of our general funds in, so I do understand the concept. I'm just trying to go back and remember what I also with my council members approved, so I can refresh my memory of the different categories and the amounts that we said we were doing. If anybody have that information, they can share that with me. I would love to know before I can vote on this.
Corporation Counsel? Rifkin?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So let me just remind the members what the allocation resolution that you adopted said. So there were a number of categories and
What day was that, Howard, so I can go back and pull up that resolution?
well, I'm actually looking at the presentation that the mayor gave on April 26th, which was the budget hearing.
Last year.
And then he subsequently gave a more detailed presentation to, I think it was the Council of the Whole, about the details of it. But you adopted the ultimate resolution. I don't remember the date that you adopted the ultimate resolution about the plan, but what we said was we would use $13.9 million for projects and programs supporting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't
Jenny's on the high phone.
know who that is, and she's not muted.
Let me, just give me a quick moment.
She came and opened the door. It could have been worse. It was locked.
Jeannie's iPhone, can you please mute yourself? Thank you.
Hi,
Hi, could you please mute yourself?
I will try.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Corporation Counsel.
So thanks. Alexandra Shirley is sending you the presentation.
I'm interested to my Gmail. I can pick it up right now.
I think, yes, Gmail.
Yes, please.
Okay, got it. But just for everybody's sake, and just the broad categories, which we set out in the allocation plan, was $13.9 million for youth services and support activities under community safety and wellness, $11,250,000. Business support and activation, That's things like the Heart Lift program, $15,300,000, housing, not-for-profit organizations, $7 million, arts and culture, $5,850,000, economic and community development, $47.3 million, critical infrastructure, $9,500,000, and revenue replacement, $6.6 million. I think in the mayor's presentation, there might have been a few adjustments to that, but there was more detail about the kinds of projects and programs that would be potentially funded under each of those categories. So there is nothing, Councilwoman Surgeon, just to repeat myself, in this resolution that changes any of the assumptions or the allocations that the council previously approved.
Got it, Howard. Thank you so very much for
Sure.
refreshing the memories of us as we age. So,
I only can do that because it's written in front of me.
thank you. Then I don't feel too bad. Then I remember this presentation. It's just that it's hit my memory. So that's a huge help. I did agree with the mayor on the allocation for the categories. That was there. The only thing I may ask, if Leanne has ever joined us, is as we make those general transfer for the revenue replacement, are we using all the 6.6 million for the revenue replacement currently? How much have we spent? I know the mayor gave us a presentation of how much we spent for the youth services and community safety, I think I remember correctly. If you can just, Howard, through you and through the council president, just ask Rihanna for an update on where we are on our balances per category. That'll be a huge help.
I believe that information is
out there somewhere too.
No, in the presentation that
It is.
Attorney Lombardi just provided.
I'm looking at it, and oh yes, it is. Summary activities through May 13, 2022. Yes, you're right. Sorry, Attorney Lombardi. I'm looking at it now. Through you, Madam President. I'm finished with my questions, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Surgeon. I also want to recognize Majority Leader TJ Clark, who's also a co-chair on the OMBGA committee. Does anyone else have any questions? I think I saw your hand up, Councilman LeBron.
Yes. Oh, it seems like somebody has a question. Jeannie's iPhone.
No, I will recognize Ms. Jeannie later on.
Okay. So I just have a quick question. Since Leanne was scheduled to present, does anyone have an idea as to what she was going to be presenting? Through you, Madam Chair.
Councilman Mix, Corporation Counsel Rifkin.
I'm sorry, exactly what Alexandra presented and what I said.
Okay, so the next question that I have is that number two, the updates that we have is based upon the presentation that was given through March 31st. So it'd be safe to say that we don't have an update on money spent until, let's say the end of July. Would that be correct? Would I be correct in my assumption?
I'm sure there have been additional allocations, Councilman LeBron, but I don't think that would in any way impact the proposed resolution that's before you. Any allocation that was made since then, or dollars spent since then, or spent on programs and efforts within the allocation plan that you had previously adopted.
Okay, through you, Madam Chair, based upon the presentation that you guys provided, or the overview of what you guys provided, it sounds, and correct me if I'm wrong, using layman's terms or using my 5th grade math, if you will, we're earmarking, we're allowing the transfer of money, so that way we can earmark monies for different categories within departments, and then thus free up our money so that way we could spend it towards the ARPA funds. Is that correct?
I would say generally, yes.
Okay. So is it possible that Leanne may have presented, or is it possible for us, through you, Madam Chair, is it possible for us to know what line items we are earmarking in certain departments? So for example, we're earmarking funding, let's say, on miscellaneous spending at the casino. Again, I'm just being very tongue-in-cheek here, okay? But it'd be nice to know what we're replacing within the departments.
I think that generally speaking, the replacement revenues are in the category of health benefits, which is one of the largest expenditures that the city has. So the amount of money that we need to be able to use as replacement funds or swaps is covered generally, I believe, in health benefits, and Alex may have more details than that.
Okay, it doesn't seem like Alex, is she frozen? Did she freeze? Oh.
I'm sorry, Councilman LeBron. No, I don't have additional details. I was just nodding my agreement with the Corporation Council that yes, to my knowledge, also for the most part, revenue replacement dollars, at least to date, have gone to the healthcare line item, and it is one of the biggest expenditures on the city side. So it does make sense to put those revenue replacement dollars there.
And you, Madam Chair, is my the way you have been these ARPA funds has been evolving. I remember very clearly having a meeting with both the mayor and then also having a public meeting that at first these dollars, that this transfer, if you will, wasn't allowable at the beginning. And I realized they gave us like a short bullet point overview, and then I guess it would be safe to say. So the question that I have is that, have we gotten guidance from the federal government that we can now do that? I would assume that that is the case, but just want to make sure.
I'm sorry. We are 100% certain that legally we have the ability to do this, and that it would not result in any kind of audit exception from the federal government.
Okay. When was the transmittal that they provided us that said that we can do this?
Well, we don't have a specific letter from the feds regarding this. What we have is about 150 pages of Treasury guidelines that were finalized in, I believe it was May,
Right.
June of 22.
Right. That's right. Yeah, that's what
it's based on our interpretation of the guidelines, and there are a number of Q&As that the Treasury had where they answered frequently asked questions. It is out of that we are 100% confident that our ability to make these transfers and still fund the purposes for which the allocation plan was adopted is all on solid ground.
Yeah. just as a comment, because I remember in April, we weren't able to do that. So this is relatively new to the ARPA grants.
I don't, that's not my memory of this.
But you just said that they gave us the update in May or June.
Well, I said they finalized the guidelines in May or June. And,
Right.
and within, even in the preliminary guidelines that we got, I'm not sure that how much we were limited. I think part of the issue was more about some greater restrictions on the use of ARPA dollars on direct services, and the revenue replacement formula that the Treasury finalized allows us to do more in terms of revenue replacement than perhaps we thought at the very beginning of the process.
Okay. All right. No further questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman LeBron. Councilman Sanchez, followed by Councilwoman Surgeon.
Yes, through you, Madam President and Chair. So I'm looking at some information here that I finally was able to find. And I believe what was approved in the beginning for revenue replacement was $6.6 million. $1 million to hire additional housing inspectors to accelerate the implementation of Hartford's residential licensing program. $2.5 million for additional engineering, project and construction management capacity at the Department of Public Works, and $3 million to support capital projects, including streetscape work. Is this what we're talking about, Corporation Counsel? Are we replacing or are we adding to this revenue expenditures?
I think the short answer to that is we're taking more of monies allocated from other categories and freeing it up for those categories through revenue replacement or swaps as described. I know it's complicated, but originally when the allocation plan was first put on the table, I think there was an assumption that most or all of the projects or services that were going to be provided in those categories would be directly ARPA eligible. In other words, we could directly fund to recipients through ARPA funding for that program or project or service. And as the iterations of the regulations of the Treasury rules came about, we determined that the better approach and to avoid any kind of audit would be to use more of the money to swap out what are legitimate general fund expenditures and use the freed up money to pay for the programs and projects under the allocation plan.
And thank you for sharing that through you, Madam President, Chair. So I think one of what everyone's looking for is the breakdown of what amount of funds are going to be allocated from what category to what category. And that's what we don't have here on this resolution. At least I can't see, I can't find it. So that I think that's one of the issues here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councilman Sanchez. That's not what this resolution is about. We're not reallocating money between the broad areas that the mayor described in his presentation back in May. What we're doing is doing some accounting in a way that allows us to fund those programs that you have already approved under the allocation plan.
And I'll just add too, if I can, that Councilman Sanchez, for those categories you just mentioned that are straight revenue replacement, those couple of buckets, capital expenditures, housing inspectors, et cetera, those two require exactly what this resolution would do, which is a transfer of ARPA dollars to the affected department, whether it's DDS or it's our capital, our capital improvement budget, in order to spend those monies in the way that you all have designated through your allocation plan. So this resolution is required to effectuate those purposes as well.
Thank you for that clarity. I'm done with my questions.
Councilwoman Surgeon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Councilman Sanchez got to that resolution, which we had passed during the budget time, which helped me with the concept of the replacement. So no, I'm comfortable in voting for this resolution because it's under the broad structure that we had approved a year or so ago. And then we're getting a little bit more refined now in moving the funds from the city's count and using ARP funds as replacements. So I'm very comfortable
Wonderful.
with the resolution that the mayor is asking us to approve.
Great. So without further ado, if there's not any more questions, I will entertain a motion.
I have a quick question,
Oh,
Madam President.
Yes.
So just one last question. So is it that we've spent the money already from our departments and we're replacing that money? Is that what we're doing? Through you, Madam President?
Through you, Madam Chair. So no, Councilman LeBron, this would be taking the ARPA dollars to use them in a department. And in the case of swaps, which I think is what you're getting at, that then frees up dollars that would have been used to run that department, which now becomes surplus that you use for the ARPA designated purpose that you all have previously approved.
I just want to make a comment, Madam President. I guess what makes me feel uncomfortable is that I get the general understanding that it frees up money and it's kind of an accounting move. But what this resolution doesn't do is going into the line items. It gives us the spirit of what we approved, but it doesn't show us directly. So there is still the element of tomorrow that within the spirit and the macro level of how we designate, there's still the line items of how things can be changed. And I think from the public's point of view, which I have some people in the public and they're texting me right now, is that with these ARPA funds, the level of detail hasn't been there since the beginning. And now we're approving a resolution that allows transferring of funds. And we get the general spirit that this is just an accounting practice, but we don't see in front of us, like it's going to go, you said in general, it's going to go to health benefits in general is in totality. And so we don't see the specifics on it. And our communities, which are asking us every day on council, where are these ARPA funds going specifically? And the fact that, there are people watching right now gives me a level, I wouldn't say of uncomfort, but of a surety. And so that's just my comment, Madam President. Thank you.
Corporation Counsel Rifkin?
I see that Majority Leader Clark's hand is up. I would defer to him, but do want to respond to Councilman LeBron.
Sure. Majority Leader Clark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I believe, I hear what Councilman LeBron has said, but I believe that the resolution that's before us is based upon the resolution that council passed earlier. So therefore, the parameters in which is being reported to us is based upon I would say the agreement in the resolution that we passed. And so the administration is just providing us the information based upon what was already previously passed. And so if Councilman LeBron wants to be able to dig into the weeds and understand and have more information reported, maybe that's up for him to provide introduce a resolution for next month's meeting as to a full forensic audit or something to that nature regarding what he's looking for.
Thank you, Councilman Clark. And I'm not speaking for Councilman LeBron, but I do understand what Councilman LeBron is requesting. Corporation Counsel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that quarterly, the administration has to submit a report to the feds on allocation of money. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if it's quarterly or semi-annually at this point. I think at the beginning it was quarterly. It may be semi-annually, but I really do want to emphasize it and respond to Councilman LeBron and any concerns that residents watching this may have. This resolution has no impact on the allocation plan that was approved by the City Council. So the dollars that were allocated and the priorities established by the City Council with the mayor are not affected in the slightest. What this does is it gives us the opportunity to ensure that those projects and programs and those priorities in the allocation plan actually are funded. And we are happy to update, as the mayor has already said, to the council of the whole when he reported to you all in May, that we are happy to come before you and periodically report on how the efforts are going with respect to all of the allocation categories under ARPA.
Councilwoman Surgeon.
Through you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Corporation Councilor Rifkin. We had in the budget presentation time a list, and I think Councilman Sanchez had that list, if I'm not mistaken, that list the funds we were going to swap out for using the ARPA funds. I believe it was shared with all of us right around budget time. I don't see, the community has asked for information regarding the expenditure of the funds so far. I think in this, the presentation the mayor gave back in April or May, with the different categories that we originally voted upon in spending that $116 million. I think I hear the community is asking for is, as Councilman Clark has said, every item that has been funded and paid for using the ARPA fund. And I think you used the word a forensic audit, more says. So you have a listing of every single item. And I think that's what the community is asking for. And I think that at some point, we just finished our budget process and we are getting ready as we begin our fiscal year, that I'm sure the mayor's administration can provide that for Councilman LeBron, all that, so, how many we spent from his report for youth services. I believe we spent like either 2 or 3 million. Give me a list of all the projects or the community-based project that was funded with that $2 or $7 million. So therefore, we can share them with the committee and say, these are the programs the Youth Services Fund for. Under the auspices of the arts and culture, we put $1 million to do the Arts Council, to do more community arts program. So I think that's what I'm hearing, and correct me, Councilor LeBron, if I'm not speaking on, what I think I'm hearing. The mayor just put $1 million to allocate, trying to get some activities going in downtown Hartford, again, through that arts and cultural designation that we said we put $5 million into. I know Councilman Sanchez had several issues on Pratt Street, the north side, and trying to get development going there with the rental. The mayor put several $1 million for to help businesses get started in downtown Hartford and also in the community. So I am safe. I'm very comfortable with the mayor has updated, well, I only can speak for myself, from where I've seen the ARPA funds has gone to, either downtown Hartford or into the community in economic development. He has sent us different projects that we allocated about 47 million for economic development and community development, and how those funds are going to be utilized. We have in Clear Arsenal, the project that's coming aboard. Funds from Harper funds is going towards utilizing, making those projects get finished. So again, through you, Madam Chair, I've spoke about several different programs that has been funded through the ARPA funds. And I would like to, without any delay, put a resolution, I apologize. I would like to
Make a motion.
make a motion that we favorably send this item back to the overall council meeting that we'll be having next month.
I
You
second.
say
the
a favorable
Second.
recommendation?
Second.
Okay, Corporation Counsel, you had your hand up?
I'm sorry. Thank you, Council President. I just want to say that I'm sure that we can update and provide the council with the expenditures that have been made to date by program. That is not that should not be a problem, and periodically update that as commitments are made. But again, I do want to emphasize that there's nothing in the resolution that's before you that changes the allocation plan that you previously approved. I understand the desire and the appropriate desire to know exactly how the money is being spent within those categories as you approved it. And I think we can satisfy that desire to know that information.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel. So we have a motion on the floor, and it has been made by Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon and seconded by Councilman Clark. To vote on this motion, to set on this item, to send it back to council with a favorable recommendation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any discussion?
Aye.
There's no discussion opportunity
Go ahead, Councilman.
Sure.
Brown.
before we vote, because that's normally I was waiting, I was holding it. So I
apologize.
want to just say to and through you, Madam Chair, through Corporation Counsel, I realize the undue consternation for this, what is a legal / accounting thing to the ARPA dollars. And when you mention ARPA and COVID, it is such a buzzword in our communities that as council colleagues, rather for myself, or I express, we get it all the time. So, I realize that we may have went on a tangent, and that for what this would have been a legal layup, if you will, when you mention COVID and ARPA, it rings a lot of bells. And so I do apologize for the undue consternation, but I think it's our job, as we have community folks reaching out to us individually, particularly on this very polarizing, I wouldn't use the word polarizing, but very highlighted COVID monies. It's important that we do our due diligence. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, if you could please signify by saying aye to send this back favorably to the council body. Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? The ayes have it. This item will be sent back to council with a favorable recommendation. I want to thank our corporation counsel and our deputy corporation counsel, Attorney Lombardi, for presenting on behalf of the administration. Everyone have a great evening, and thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned.
Good night.
Good night.